This presentation, titled Remote Auditing, The Future of Auditing is Now, comes to us from Kevin Campbell. Kevin is the Technical Director of DECRA Certification, Inc., and a senior member of the American Society for Quality. He spent his professional career helping companies improve their value proposition. For more than 30 years, Kevin has developed, assessed, and certified management systems. He previously worked at DRS Technologies, Intergraph Corporation at Robins Air Force Base, Parker Hannifin Corporation, Parker Aerospace, E.B. Way Corporation, Heiko Aerospace, and Chromalee Gas Turbine Corporation. Kevin is an aerospace experience auditor, certified by ASQ as a Certified Manager of Quality Organizational Excellence, a Six Sigma Black Belt, a Certified Reliability Engineer, a Certified Software Quality Engineer, a Certified Quality Auditor, and a Certified Quality Engineer. He is also certified by the Project Management Institute as a Project Management Professional. And with that, take it away, Kevin.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. Let's see if we work this. Oops, next slide. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Thank you very much again. Appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I hope you find this educational and informative. Real quick, our agenda today is going to be, I'm going to introduce DECRA and myself, that Mike's already done, provide some reference documents that I think will be helpful going forward. I wanted to clarify the issues that some confusion surrounding remote versus virtual and how that's used. Touch on auditor qualification as it pertains to doing remote auditing. Audit preparation, the most important part of it, and we'll take a quick glance at some additional preparation steps we take for remote auditing, and about what it's all about, meeting audit objectives in this new world that we find ourselves in. So the last two slides, I'm going to just touch on some continuing monitoring, some opportunities that we see that can come out of this that can benefit everybody, and the benefits that for specific groups, especially the auditors, I believe will be listening. So let's get going onto it, and we'll start with DECRA briefly. So you know, DECRA is one of the third largest certification, inspection, and test companies in the world. We have over 47,000 employees now, and DECRA's mantra is being a partner in a safe world. We do it through management system certification. We believe a company that is certified, that management system certified, provides a safer product to the world and is a better employer as a whole. The slides might be slightly dated. I think we're in 70 countries now. But just a brief history of DECRA. As I said, we started in 1925. I know I could go through every stage. We're an expert organization, huge in the automotive field, where we expanded our expertise to automated driving now and the Internet of Things. And we've reorganized recently to better organize our service divisions to better meet our customers' needs. So with that, I think we're basically covered everything we need. DECRA does have I think we're at about $4 billion in revenue on a yearly basis. So I wanted to talk to you about reference documents, and the majority of these reference documents are available free to you on the web, so you can Google them, but they're very helpful. ISO 9001 just came out with a auditing practices group guidance on remote audits. That can be, it was released April 16th, 2020. So it's very recent, and it gives great information on doing remote auditing. Just for context, DECRA has been doing remote audits since 2016. But the change in the factor here now is we always used remote audits to augment the on-site audit that would follow up with that. We believe a remote audit on some of the factors, we'll touch on that going forward, but can produce a better audit if a portion of it's done remotely prior to the actual on-site audit. But it's always been a partnership between the two. Now we're in the environment with the pandemic and a lot of the things that are coming out in the documents that we're going 100% remote, and that's a different animal. So we're going to touch on these. And this IAF MD4 on the use of information communication technology, excellent document. and IFMD5. We're going to use a few of the definitions from this. Most people will know this. It establishes the audit duration time and defines what you can do remotely, and touches on certain definitions I want to touch on. And I believe the whole audience will know 19.11/2018, just revised a couple of years ago, for guidelines for auditing management systems. I also want to give a big shout out to ANAB Heads Up 450. It provides great guidelines and suggestions in how to actually perform remote audits in this world that we find ourselves in now. And SAE International actually has a nice one that I provide my auditors on best practices for virtual meetings. All of these documents that I said are freely available to you on the web, and you can use except for the 19.11. And I'm sure the auditors in our group have already purchased that as part of their training. So I'm going to touch base on a question that was asked regarding remote versus virtual. Now, I put the definitions up there in the actual standard, but just so we know, when you're talking about a virtual audit or a virtual, when you mention virtual, technically, now the words will be used interchangeably, but virtual is specifically related to processes that are actually done virtually. They're on an online environment, allowing persons, irrespective of physical locations, to execute the processes. These are not processes like you don't do a virtual audit on somebody making something at a physical location. These are web applications that, for instance, if a client is actually doing web applications or performing on the internet, or performing their process that they do, that you have to conform, that you have to verify conformance to the standard on, is actually done in a virtual environment. And that's when they refer to as a virtual, as 19.11 says, is sometimes referred to as a virtual auditing. Remote auditing is referring to you're actually auditing somebody at a process and at a physical location, but you're doing it using remote auditing tools, information communication technology tools that allow you to do that remotely. And that's what we're really talking about today. The difference may seem minute, but virtual relates to virtual processes that are not specific to a physical location. Where remote auditing, they're using the same tools, the information communication technology tools, but they're actually talking about auditing at a physical location remotely. And that's what we're going to really concentrate on talking today with. Right? So I'm hoping that's clear. And I don't think this presentation is going to stop anybody from using these words interchangeably, but hopefully it will clear up some misconceptions. I probably the most important thing that I wanted to talk about, and I think that will be interest to our audience, and it was the documents that we talked about, referred to before, that are available to you. DECRA actually has a remote audits training center that we provide to our auditors. We have a auditor reference library that provides many of the documents I referred to earlier. We believe that auditors that are doing remote audits need to follow the same process that we do when we approve them for a standard or a technical area. They need to go through training. We provide training. They have to pass a physical test, a paper test to show competence. We allow them to observe a remote audit, and then we witness them performing remote audits. This is another great opportunity for doing these remote audits. It gives everybody opportunity to actually observe these with less impact to the client. You're not walking in with a bunch of people watching them, but you can actually observe these remotely. So it's another advantage that we're going to talk about later in the presentation. But I did want to touch base on, conducting remote auditing. Everybody, this information you have, and if you're a DECRA auditor, you have available. And Exemplar has a lot of information that they have provided. ANAB's done it. I talked about it earlier. ISO, the auditing guideline. So you're not alone. There's a lot of information out here to help you. There's frequently asked questions. There's what was it? The other, lessons learned. IAQG has come out with, the International Aerospace Quality Group has come out with. So all these sources are available to help you perform an effective remote audit. So so you are not alone, auditors. We have a lot of tools to do this, and the whole world is working to support us in doing this and make sure that we uphold the integrity of the standard. So it's an exciting time. I couldn't let this go without touching about the importance. If you don't plan, you're going to fail. So you have to plan for success. And as I go through this, I want to make sure all factors are pertinent to this. So you can't look at one individual factor and say he said we can do this. Everything, we're going to go through a number of things that play a role in conducting a successful remote audit in the world today and the future of remote auditing as it pertains to going forward and how it can be beneficial and how it should actually be planned. It starts with the audit program. Every audit program, when you're tying an element of the standard to a process, you should be looking at it, working with your client to confirm that's how they conform to that element in that process, that you're looking at it. Is that a process that is a candidate for being done remote? Now, it can or can't be. In my opinion, there's nothing that cannot be verified, that we cannot verify conformance to remotely, but there are processes that can be done that lend themselves to remote auditing, whereas other processes do not. And then we're going to go through, and as I say, and I wanted to bring this up before we move on, every audit plan should indicate the process to be audited remotely and the technology used to do it remotely. So from your audit program, and DECRA does this on every audit, we ask the clients through our audits, is a remote auditing a potential? We work with them to develop if the technology is available, and this is what the important portion of it is about. It's about, just like our standards, when we talk about our standards, we talk about risk. And we have to come up with an evaluation of every auditor with the client, with the information communication technology used, and assess that risk. DECRA has our application for doing remote audits takes 30 factors into effect to assess and determine that risk. We have 5 levels of risk that we identify with doing a remote audit. And usually 3 of those, the top 3, result in what we call a blended audit. We'll follow up that remote audit with an on-site audit because the risk is too high. But of course, the most important portion of that is the information technology used to do the audit. The most important factor, the client IT infrastructure. If the client doesn't have Wi-Fi on their production floor, you're not going to be able to meet the audit objectives. So the remote audit, you cannot do a 100% remote audit. That's just clear if that's not possible. The way too that you mitigate a lot of this risk, and what our auditors do and we do, is we've already gone to the site or we've actually tested out the remote auditing capability before the audit ever starts. And the client, to do our next one, probably the most important factor of it, is the confidentiality, security, and data protection of the audit. This audit that you're doing remotely is dealing with that client's confidential information. The infrastructure should be the client's. The processes should comply with the client's CSDP requirements and procedures. We should be always lending this to the client, going to our certified organization. If they don't want a remote audit being done, then we have to work with them to see how we can achieve the audit objectives and maybe reschedule it for later, or what requirements we can do. When you look at it from a larger standpoint, certain elements of the standard, when we talk about sections 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10, they tend to lend themselves more to remote audits. You're talking about the context of the organization, leadership and commitment, the portion of the quality objectives to planning to achieve them, risks and opportunities, the performance evaluation and improvement sections, continual improvement sections, they tend to be things that we can be more comfortable with auditing remotely. There's reasons we can't. Some clients don't have the information technology infrastructure to do that, so they cannot. Then it's ended, and we have to sit there and go on site to do those things. But most of the clients that we've dealt with do have that, and we can do these portions remotely. And that's why I think that previous edition MD5, and now it's taken off that 30%, but certain standards have a limit of 30%. And that was why there's no audit cannot be portionally done remotely if the technology exists and the client is comfortable with their confidentiality, security, and data protection system. Last but not least, we already talked about it, the auditor qualification, which I covered on the previous slide. But the most important portion about it, can we achieve the audit objectives? If we cannot achieve the audit objectives, we cannot complete a 100% remote audit. And so let's just take a look, and we talk about those audit objectives and what the biggest factors of the risks are. So when we're talking about methods to obtain information shall include but are not limited to interviews, observations of processes and activities, and review of documentation records. Of course, the review of documentation and records does sit there. That lends itself to remote auditing. But when we talk about interviews and observations of processes and activities, we have to ensure that we have the information technology and communication tools to go out and interview people. Do they have a tablet? Can they use this remotely? Can you go out on the floor? Can you observe the process being done? Can you ask the operators questions? Can you confirm? It is all about obtaining objective evidence to verify that the client's processes conform to the standard elements of the standard. If we can't do that, we can't complete the audit, and it must be done partially on site at a later time. If we can, and we have audits that can, and if the technology is right, it can be done. And it gives us a lot of opportunities to improve things going forward, to improve the whole industry, I think, which I'll touch on the next couple of slides. But I also did want to talk about sampling. In the plan, when you're planning the remote audit, you should be asking the client prior to the audit, hey, what are your numbers, or give me an idea of what your the purchase orders cut or contracts that you've completed since your last audit. That way you go in there and you already have a random sample, because that sampling becomes a bigger risk too doing remote auditing. I just wanted to touch base on that. That should be done prior to it when you're in the planning stage and working with the client to confirm that this remote audit is the way that we can meet the objectives. So again, we have to be aware of the risks and the opportunities of information communication technologies used, and that they can complete the validity and objectivity of the information gathered. If we don't have confidence in the information, we can't meet the audit objectives. Remember, the standard is all about a promise to our clients' customers that they can cut our clients a purchase order and have confidence that they will get what they want when they want. It will conform to their requirements. And if our client does do something wrong, they have a corrective action system in place that will address that deficiency and take corrective action and improve the system. That's what it's all about. That's the integrity of the standard. That's what we're trying to do. And remote auditing gives us an opportunity to even prove more of that. When we talk about it, we have a number of clients. DECRA has a number of clients where we can literally log into their system remotely and see them real time on how they're doing and complying with the standard. We work with them on site, we work with them off site. It gives the opportunity to improve the ability to confirm that verify that they meet the requirements of the standard. This is a huge opportunity to take advantage of. When we talk about this, we talk about to better establish their continual improvement process. Some of our clients have actually literally gone to more audits in a year because we'll be less disruptive to them working with them remotely. And the audits will be more focused. And it's important that we recognize the audit, when a client's getting audited, it's not one of their most productive times. So we're not adding to their productivity. So we have to take into account and be as least disruptive as possible. Remote auditing gives us the opportunity to be less disruptive to our clients and achieve greater audit results, better audit results, more being able to give the client better feedback and better confirmation that they're doing. In the end, it's about the integrity of the audit processes. Clients want to know, they get independent confirmation that their processes meet or exceed the requirements. If we can do that better, this is a win-win situation for the client, for the customer, the end customer, and the auditor too. And I'm going to touch on that too, as as we talk about these improved methods for use of information communication technology. So I think, and I'm pretty sure I'm close to the end here. So let's touch on those benefits. To the auditor that is there, let's face it, we're not at our best when we've been traveling all night before, unpacked, stayed in a hotel room, and go to eating in a strange place and walking in a strange building, where that can be exhaustive, especially if you're doing it repeatedly, week after week after week. If we can get that auditor to be more refreshed, the auditor has benefits of reduced travel time, ability to better prepare for follow-up on-site audit, improved value of the audit time, and the ability to conduct more audits, which in their cases is like going and obtain greater income. It's from our end customers, the certified organizations. They benefit from the improved methods that we'll be using to review their data. We'll be able to go more thoroughly through their data. We'll be able to spend more time with their data. We'll be able to give them greater feedback on how they're doing, greater effectiveness and efficiency of the audit, and as a side note, reduce costs for travel. So it's, again, as a whole, when we finish up here, and I'll finish hopefully I didn't go too fast, but the certification bodies and accreditation bodies can benefit from delivering greater value to both the client organization, the auditor, and the world as a whole by implementing management systems with greater integrity and flexibility. We will be able to do a better job, be able to give the client more flexibility in their schedule at a reduced cost, and deliver a better product. And for the world as a whole, be able to have more confidence in ensuring that client organization that is certified will meet their needs. Again, I hope I didn't cover this too quickly, and I hope if you have any questions, you feel free to contact me anytime. I'm Kevin Campbell. I'm DECRA's Technical Director, and I'm going to give you, is that okay, Mike?
That's great. That's great, Kevin. Thank you. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for offering us a look at the future of auditing and remote auditing. And that will conclude this presentation.